So you're getting ready to step into the world of libraries. Awesome.
Ah,
I hear you've got a librarian interview coming up.
exciting stuff.
We're going to dive into some of those common questions you might face.
Yeah.
And we're going to use RoleCatcher's Librarian Interview Guide and Career Guide to sort of give you a little bit of a secret weapon going into that interview.
Yeah, and RoleCatcher's AI features can really help give you an edge too. It's kind of like having a coach in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to tailor your answers and give you feedback specifically for the librarian role that you're going for.
I love it.
Which you need, huh?
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the first questions that I often see is, describe your experience working in a library.
Right.
But what if you haven't worked in a library yet?
Right. Well, that's where you can really shine by highlighting those transferable skills.
Okay.
So think about anything you've done, volunteer work, coursework, even personal projects that show your passion for libraries and all the skills that you've picked up along the way.
So like even if you haven't like professionally shelved books, could you talk about maybe how you organized a book drive for a local charity?
Exactly.
Which shows organization, community engagement.
Exactly. You're connecting the dots for the interviewer.
Yes.
And you're showing how your experiences, even if they're not in a traditional library setting, have really prepared you for this role.
I like it. So think about this one. So potential follow-up to that.
Right.
What are some challenges you anticipate facing as a librarian, and how would you approach them?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It really tests your understanding of the profession.
Yeah, and this is where RoleCatcher's Career Guide can come in handy. It can give you some insights into what some of the typical challenges librarians face are. Everything from budget constraints to that ever-evolving technology.
Mm-hmm. It really is like a behind-the-scenes look at the profession.
It is. And another question that comes up a lot is, how do you manage your time when working on multiple projects?
Right, because librarians are master jugglers. I mean, they handle patron requests, program planning.
All the things. And with RoleCatcher's AI, you can actually practice answering this using the STAR method.
Ooh, good.
So it helps you structure your response by outlining the situation, the task, the action, and then the result.
Yes.
So it's clear, it's concise, it's easy to follow.
It makes a lot of sense.
So let's say you're working on a library display, but then you're also assisting patrons with research requests.
Right.
Using that STAR method, you can describe the situation, the tasks you were juggling, how you prioritized and managed your time, and then what positive outcomes you achieved.
I love that. I love that. And they might even ask you this follow-up question. Tell me about a time you had to reprioritize tasks due to an unexpected situation. How did you handle it?
I like that one. Yeah. You can really showcase your adaptability and problem-solving skills there.
Exactly.
Now, technology, huge part of libraries today.
Oh, absolutely.
So be ready for questions like, what experience do you have with library technology?
Yes.
Or how do you stay current with library trends?
Yeah.
This is where it gets fun. The Career Guide mentions specific technologies like digital libraries, online databases. We even have VR experiences transforming how libraries operate today.
Oh, absolutely. You got to think about things like Overdrive or Hoopla.
Yes.
For ebooks and audiobooks. I mean, these are game changers. And then to stay current, professional associations like the American Library Association are invaluable.
I love it. And guess what? RoleCatcher actually gives you links to a lot of these resources right within the platform.
Wow.
So convenient. Talk about convenient. Now, imagine they hit you with this follow-up. What emerging library technology are you most excited about, and how do you see it impacting library services?
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah.
You can really show off your enthusiasm and that forward-thinking approach.
You got it. Now, are you ready to move on to some of those trickier questions? The ones that test your people skills, the ones that are like, how do you handle a difficult patron? All about those interpersonal dynamics.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's dig into those questions that really put your people skills to the test.
Right.
One you're bound to get is, how do you handle difficult patrons?
Oh, for sure.
Let's face it, every library has its share of challenging situations, right?
Yeah. From noise complaints to disagreements over policies, it's all part of the job. But how do you showcase that you can stay calm and professional under pressure?
Well, the key is to show your commitment to providing excellent customer service.
Okay.
Even in those tough situations, Think of a specific example, maybe a time you had to de-escalate a conflict.
Right.
Or find a compromise, or even just patiently listen to a frustrated patron.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide actually has some great examples of that in the typical interactions section. It's really interesting.
Oh, good.
It kind of shows you how those seasoned librarians really navigate those situations.
Yeah, like a mentor in your pocket.
Exactly.
And be ready for those follow-ups, too. Like, what's the most challenging interaction you've had with a patron?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you learn from it? Or how do you balance enforcing library policies while still creating a welcoming environment?
Those are good.
Yeah, for everyone.
Those are some really good follow-ups because it really makes you think about it.
Mhm.
All right, now let's switch gears a little bit to one that's all about outreach.
Okay.
How do you promote library services to the community?
Oh, this is where you get to be creative.
Yes.
Think outside the box.
Yes.
Libraries aren't just about books anymore.
So true.
They're vibrant community hubs. Think about programs, events, partnerships, anything that engages different groups of people and really showcases the library's value.
And don't forget about all those digital services, right?
Yes.
Promoting online databases, ebook collections, virtual events.
Mm-hmm.
Huge in today's world.
Yeah.
And remember those platforms we talked about like Overdrive?
Yes.
Highlighting those can really impress interviewers, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, imagine this follow-up. What strategies would you use to reach underserved populations in the community?
That's a good one.
Or how would you assess the effectiveness of your outreach efforts?
Wow. Those are insightful. It really makes you think about your community engagement.
Yeah.
Okay, let's level up. Let's talk about some questions that get into that specialized knowledge. This is the stuff that often comes up for more senior roles.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so one that we see often is, how do you manage a library budget? That can be a tricky one.
It can, even for experienced librarians. Because you got to balance so many different priorities with limited resources.
Don't let it intimidate you, though.
No.
Even if you haven't managed a big budget before.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about your understanding of financial planning, resource allocation.
Right.
Maybe you've had experience managing a small project budget or making decisions about, resources within a team setting.
Exactly. And, the Librarian Career Stages section in RoleCatcher's Career Guide. Yes.
That can give you some good context here.
Mm-hmm.
It lays out those different responsibilities and challenges you might face at different points in your career, which is really helpful.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help you structure that response using the STAR method and get that tailored feedback specifically for those budget-related scenarios.
Wonderful.
Now, how about this one?
Okay.
How do you manage a collection development policy?
Oh, this one really digs into your understanding of how to curate a collection to meet your community's needs.
Right.
Things are always evolving. So it's about balancing budget constraints, community demographics, intellectual freedom, and what's trending.
It's really about creating a collection that's relevant, that's diverse and accessible to everyone. The Career Guide, it really emphasizes research.
Yes.
Stay up to date with the latest industry trends to make those informed decisions.
And get ready for those follow-ups. How would you handle a request for a controversial book?
Ooh, good one. How do you make sure that the collection represents diverse voices and perspectives?
Those are tough.
They're tough but important.
Yeah. They really get to the heart of a librarian's role in fostering that intellectual freedom and inclusivity. Speaking of inclusivity, let's talk about one that I see more and more in interviews today.
Okay.
Describe your experience working with diverse populations.
Libraries, they serve everyone, right?
Yes.
And it's super important to create a welcoming and inclusive space for people of all different backgrounds, abilities, and beliefs. So this question, it's trying to see, what's your cultural competency? And are you committed to serving diverse communities?
The functions and core abilities section in RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Yes.
It highlights that growing importance of serving those diverse communities and emphasizes cultural sensitivity.
Absolutely.
Empathy, and that commitment to accessibility.
Be ready for some follow-ups here, too. How would you make the library more accessible to patrons with disabilities? What strategies would you use to engage with community members from different cultural backgrounds?
It really pushes you to think about those specific actions and initiatives that promote that inclusivity and accessibility.
It does.
All right. Last one in this category.
Okay.
How do you ensure the safety and security of library patrons and staff?
Yes. This question reminds us that libraries, like any public space, need to prioritize safety.
Absolutely.
It's about being prepared for emergencies, knowing how to handle those difficult situations, and really fostering that culture of security and respect.
Right. So think about like procedures for emergencies, conflict resolution techniques, how you would communicate safety protocols to patrons and staff.
And they might even ask you, have you ever had to respond to a security incident?
Oh, good one.
Or what steps would you take to prevent theft or vandalism in the library?
Right. So being prepared for those follow-up questions shows you're aware and committed to creating that safe space for everyone. Well, we've covered a lot here. We went from handling those difficult patrons to promoting inclusivity to making sure everybody's safe. Now let's bring it all together.
Okay.
And in our final segment, we're going to explore how RoleCatcher can help you shine in that interview and land that librarian job of your dreams. So we've gone through a ton of these interview questions. But don't worry, RoleCatcher can be your secret weapon.
Yeah.
We've talked about the AI-powered features. Let's really break down how this can help you prepare.
Yeah, think of RoleCatcher as your own personal interview coach. Its AI analyzes your answers and compares them to successful responses from other librarians, in similar roles. But it's not about giving you like a script. It helps you refine your unique voice and experiences.
So it's like having a librarian in your corner helping you perfect those answers.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It helps you see where you're strong and maybe where you could improve for clarity.
Right.
And, it goes beyond just interview practice. RoleCatcher's CV Resume Builder uses AI to tailor your resume.
Oh, wow.
To specific job descriptions.
So it's helping you from the very beginning of the application process.
Exactly. It helps you highlight the skills and experiences that are most relevant.
Okay.
It even suggests keywords that might make your resume stand out, in those applicant tracking systems.
So it's like having a personal assistant working behind the scenes to get you noticed.
Exactly. And it's powered by AI.
That's amazing.
So it's constantly learning.
Smarter.
Yes. But remember, even with all these great tools, practice is key. The more you rehearse, the more confident you'll feel going into that interview.
I love it.
RoleCatcher provides the guidance, but you bring the passion.
Right. It's a partnership.
You got it.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. What final words of wisdom do you have for our aspiring librarians?
Just remember, as you prepare for your interviews, that your passion for libraries and your commitment to serving your community, those are your greatest assets. Let that shine through and you'll do great.
Don't underestimate that enthusiasm. And of course, check out everything RoleCatcher has to offer. The career guide, the interview guides, and all those AI-powered tools. Best of luck with those interviews. We're rooting for you.
We are.
And remember, the library world needs passionate people like you. Go out there and make a difference.